Yeah,
Oh, I think it's like the town.
with the bins.
As far as for a week or a day.
Yeah, we'll do it through June 4th. And then
How many things you do as a.
I think we agreed on 4 is what the council had discussed.
So we're doing. We did the mob. We ran. I think we're going to do 14, 16, it was an utter nightmare.
Yeah.
I'd show you pictures. Oh, good. Well, that's good. Ready for this.
Yep, we're all set, ready to go. Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Let the roll call show. All council members are present, and we do have a quorum. And I have approval of the agenda.
Move we approve the agenda.
Been moved, we approved the agenda. Can I have a second? It's moved by Councilman Stetler, second by Councilwoman Harkey, that we approve the agenda as presented. Any discussion? None being, all in favor, say aye. Aye, opposed the same. Motion passed, all in the affirmative. Any communication from citizens? Mr. Gores, do you have anything for us today?
We're on the feet. Now or a little bit later, whatever. That's for you.
This would,
This is fine.
yeah, this would work fine, yes.
Okay.
I just wanted to bring you up to date.
Yeah, please introduce yourself, Jim.
Sure, okay. I'm Jim Gores, with James Gores and Associates. I'd like to bring you up to date on your level 2 master plan study that's going on, which the Water Development Commission is providing for you folks. We've been concentrating mostly on trying to figure out some of the difficulties that you've been experiencing with the pipeline between the wells and the tank rupturing, which, as you know, has left the town without water probably about 3 times over the last 8 to 10 years. And we're not anywhere near a solution yet, but I can brief you on what all we're exploring. We were in communication today with Dr. Tell from the University of Wyoming, and he was here back in about November, I believe, getting some water samples and looking at your system a little bit. We're continuing to work with John Wetstein, who I think all of you know is working on your wells and the production you've got. We got a fairly unique situation with your wells. Now, I think, as you know, you got well number 2 that's out next to Boyson, right, almost the shoreline, and then coming this way, there's a series of 2 more wells before you get to the tank, and one of those 3 wells, the one that's at the base of the hill, prior tests indicate that that it has gas production in it. Not surprising, you know, you're not all that far from a gas field. What we're working on now is trying to characterize and quantify, if we can, what the gas is, how much are we dealing with, and then ultimately what's the solution. Right now, one theory we have is that the water, of course, being pumped up to the tank, along with some of the gas that is being produced by the well, sits there with a gas bubble in the middle and starts sloshing back and forth, and it gets the amplitude up to the point that it breaks the line. That's one theory. We're continuing to explore that along with other issues to come up with a solution where in future, whatever that is, you folks can rest assured that there'll be water in the tank and you'll have water in town, which hasn't always been the case in the past. With that, I'd be happy to answer any other questions or cover anything that's a concern or interest to you. And as you know, I can ramble on for a long time, so I'll leave it at that.
Appreciate the information. If I guess if you get it tied down, then you'll be working on a solution, you and
Yes,
John Wetstein.
right.
Yes.
Yeah, we'll figure out something that works and get back to you as to how confident we are in it, and we'll all get our heads together and go from there.
Very good. Thank you.
One thing that cropped up that Dr. Tell found in his testing of the water from well 6 is that it showed some arsenic or reportedly showed some arsenic. And we want to get to the bottom of that and find out just is it there and at what level, and is there any health implications for that?
On his original, you're talking from his original sampling?
Yes.
My understanding that proper protocol wasn't used and that couldn't have been and I believe we did follow-up sampling that none showed up, if
Okay.
I remember correctly.
Sounds right.
But we got the EPA involved with that, Jim.
Okay.
And we got the EPA involved when we got notification. We got the EPA involved and did follow-up sampling. And no arsenic was
Detected. Yeah.
wasn't detected, no.
Right. And that would be what we would expect, because in the drilling of the well back in the late 70s, early 80s, that whole chemical scan was run and nothing showed up then. So we'd be surprised if that would be the case.
Yeah, correct. Yeah, like I said, we did a follow-up with
Yeah.
the EPA.
Oh, good.
You bet.
Good. Okay. If you have any questions or anything, we would certainly be glad to answer them or discuss it with you. So
Yep, very good. Thank-
now's your chance if you want to shoot holes at us. So.
Anybody have any questions for Mr.
Okay.
Lawrence?
Thank you.
Thank you, Jim.
I do know we've had some communications from citizens about brush piles and stuff like that. We had some citizens here. Would that be
I
to
can,
discuss that?
if they want to have questions, I can answer them now. I was just talking to Councilman Demick and Zent about that very
I was
much.
looking, it's like, gosh, we didn't do that, get that on the agenda.
I was going to talk about it in
Round
round table.
Okay.
Do we have any more agendas? Is there any more agendas?
Yeah.
Take mine.
No, I grabbed a stack of them.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure, I forgot to get that on the agenda and then
We were gonna do it at the round
Round
table
table.
anyway,
round table.
but. if
But
they
we
have
can do it
questions, I
now
can-
if they want to, yes.
Yeah, if a citizen happened to mention the burn pile now, we could discuss it now, just saying. And then you wouldn't have to wait to the end.
Good evening, Matt DeBoe. Last year, we shut down our burn pile in town, and this time of year is always a fun time of year trying to get rid of your burn pile. If I start a burn pile in my backyard, it ain't going out at 5 o'clock. The neighbor's windows will probably be warped. I've got a substantial pile of limbs, trees in my backyard in my house on 2nd Street. What is the council providing us here to dispose of this stuff that can't be cut up where we can haul it off? Usually it's never been a problem for our family because my health has always been good, but with my health on the wane like it has been for the last 4 months, I don't have it in me to take care of it anymore. I need help. So what is the council's prospective ideas on being able to get this taken care of?
In the absence of Mike Quiver, I can answer that question. if you like.
Yes.
So the last meeting, the council came up with a plan for how the framework of a cleanup was going to be at the town yard. And gave some direction to myself and to give with the public works director. So what we came up with is that we are going to start a cleanup on May 30th through June 4th. And we'll accept your pile up to 4 inches in thickness. We can get that chopped up and I don't know how big, if you have a whole tree you're bringing, or what do you plan on bringing? Big stumps or?
Go drive by my backyard sometime, Chris, and take a look.
So
You
I
can't
will,
miss it. There's a
so-
pile back there about this deep.
what I'll say on that is I'll talk with Mike Quiver to give you some more direction on what we can take. And if there's.
And we still got trees in the front yard that's got to come down.
I,
And the only reason I haven't asked Councilman Jake to come give me a hand with his chainsaw is because I've got no place to go with the stuff.
and we do have a place to go with it. So I'll get with the public works director to give you direction on what we can accept after it's cut up or what we can take, what he can take at the town yard for cleanup. But we do have a place to take. We just can't burn it the way we used to in the past. And that's not a town thing. That's an EPA thing. So
Well, we
that
know
was-
how Matt cares about the EPA.
Yeah, you remember last year how this all came about?
Well, I remember the ins and outs of it, and I do remember that we shut it down. But I also remember it being said that we'd have an answer directly.
And we did last year and we're doing the
And
same thing this year.
Directly, this is the first time I've heard anything above it. And that's even after calling last year. So
We had it, we did publish it and we did have a lot of,
you know how Matt is on publishing shit. You guys don't never put it in the right spot.
well, since you're here now, you know, so May 3rd through June 4th. And I will get with Mike, since you have obviously a large amount, it's not just basic tree limbs, you have a lot more stuff. And he can give you direction on what.
Yeah, everything that's left over right now is the stuff I couldn't get burned last year.
Okay, so but we'll be able to take it out of the town yard, as well as like, you have up to refrigerators, washer dryers, all that stuff. Will all be handled through there, just not paints, oils, things that are a biohazard, all that type of stuff we can't take.
You can
Right.
take refrigerators, but you can't take paint.
Yep.
You can take Freon, but you can't take paint.
Different kind of freon. but- Yeah,
I'm not as up to date as stuff. I know Dimmick calls that stuff all the time, so.
And
He takes care of it correctly.
I believe we should be able to take tires as well this year, right? Yeah, and we'll be able to take tires too.
Okay.
Yeah, we had people complaining about the burning and that's what shut that down.
Well, like I explained to my wife earlier this evening, you move into town next to a meat packing plant, they ain't gonna turn that son of a bitch off for you. You need to figure out where you're living before you move there. It's always been available to the city of Shoshoni, and this is like the first year I've ever needed it since we've moved here.
Mhm.
And there's been nothing, I've heard nothing, and that's why I come to see what the answers were.
So. And I'll have,
Good to see you here, Matt. You come, you're welcome to come anytime.
I woke up about an hour ago.
well, hope I don't wake you up at all. We'll be over tomorrow to assess what you have and give you the answers exactly how it's gonna look as far as.
Because I do
Yeah,
have
makes
some
sense.
substantial and I mean, I think they're what, 8 inches, but
And that's why.
they're
Mike not
them
being here, I don't wanna
typical
answer
Chinese
the phone,
elm
but-
trash that we got growing around town here. And elm trees that we got that just die. So,
We'll help you out.
thank you.
What's the town gonna do with the brush then?
Well, we can actually, with the burn days, we can burn it in a certain way, just not that massive pile all at once. That was the problem, because
Okay.
we couldn't put it out, so smaller piles. Also with wood chips, we can do different things to chop it up and get rid of it. We have mechanisms and tools done and do that kind of stuff, so.
And I had some other people around town asking, and I said, well, I'll get back to you in a day or two,
And we'll have a flyer out. Melissa's getting that completed, so we'll have that out today. It'll be posted on our all around town. We'll
Okay.
get it at Fast Lane, we'll get it at Senior Center and get the word out for everyone the week. And as we go through it, if it becomes evident we need more time, then we'll we'll do
Adjust
another.
as
Yeah,
necessary.
exactly.
the brush is kind of an issue after the winter we
So-
had.
There's a good chance that in the next budget year, we'll probably do like a fall end of summer, somewhere in that time frame for people that weren't able to get, have more stuff that accumulates.
Right, yeah.
But for now, this is for immediacy. This is what we have, that Mike came up with the dates. Because some of the other dates we were looking at in June were just getting too far out there. We didn't want to get too far out and have it become, with things growth and everything else. We wanted to get on as quickly as he could, and that was the dates he came up with. So.
Sounds excellent. That's a whole lot better than no solution for sure.
And I know I presented, when Buddy was still here, we were talking about 2 years ago, getting a wood chipper that could take up to 4 inch so we could do our own wood chipping. And I don't know if that's something that we might look at in the future, but for now is kind of,
That's
we
good.
just have to have a little bit of constraints on what we can, without having that stuff. We can't just, take whole trees. Say, here you go, it's the town's problem now.
I think that'll come from the roundtable, but just like you said before, you have to have a cutoff as far as, just because I cut down my massive 18-foot tree, here you go. And so the transfer stations are the same thing. This is the quantity that we will accept and we won't. And
Yeah.
I think that's what will be important for the town as well, saying this is what we are willing to do and this is not what we're willing to do.
And it's, a lot of it comes down to obviously some of the things out of our control as far as how we can dispose of it if we can't, but also what our town employees and our equipment can handle and be able to facilitate
Yeah.
doing. And so there's those constraints we have to consider. There's no sense paying to get everything cleaned up and then just it all sits there again.
That's what we do for the last 5 years. Why?
You guys told me what to do.
Well, I like the idea.
Yeah.
It's a easy solution.
change.
so.
It's. Yeah. So, but we can get more into that when we get, if you want, but that's to answer Mike's question or Matt, sorry.
That's mystery.
I was thinking of Mike Quiver is on my head, okay?
Yep.
Mr. DeVoe to me, I got you.
Thank you, Matt.
Can I get a motion to go into executive session to discuss real estate?
Second.
Been moved by Councilman Harkey, seconded by Councilman Stetler that we go into executive session to discuss real estate. Any further discussion? None being, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, same,
7:18.
7:18. Can I have a motion to go into open session? Been moved by Councilman Stettler. Can I have a second? Second by Councilman Hartke, and we go back into open session. Any further discussion? None being, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, the same. Motion passed on the affirmative.
750.
Consent agenda can I have a motion to approve the minutes, May 9th, 2023, and the bills from May 10th, 2023 to May 23rd, 2023. And I have a motion to approve the
So moved.
consent agenda. Been moved by Councilman Steller. Can I have a second?
I'll second.
Been seconded by Councilman Hartke. Discussion. Any discussion? None being, all in favor, say aye to approve the consent agenda as read.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, the same. Motion passed on the affirmative. Ordinance fiscal year 2024 budget first reading.
The mayor and council of the town of Shoshone present to the citizens of Shoshone the fiscal year 2024 town budget. The budget is balanced and projected revenues will equal or exceed projected expenses despite the unprecedented fiscal situation as a result of the COVID-19 pandemic and loss of revenue due to population decrease. The town of Shoshone applied for and received funding from the State Lands and Investment Board, SLIB, providing $3,449,244 for the needed repairs and updating of our water system. The utilization of the 1% optional tax revenue for sewer and water projects awarded by SLIB will help to ensure fiscal solvency and maximize the ability for needed projects to be completed. The town of Shoshone has also invested in the future of the town with plans to vacate and sell the current town hall property and other properties to combine all town departments into a single building. The estimated cost for remodel is expected to be $840,036, with $100,000 of the cost paid for utilizing a Department of Homeland Security grant, with the remaining funding transferred from savings. The future sale of properties and land will be utilized to replenish funds utilized. The town of Shoshone continued to participate in the highway safety program for selective traffic enforcement and has applied for $4,500 in funding. This funding does not require a town match and has been awarded for the past 9 years. The town of Shoshone recognized the need to raise the minimum monthly rates for water with a $1 increase and wastewater with a $4 increase. Ordinance fiscal year 2024. Be it ordained by the governing body of the town of Shoshone, Wyoming. Whereas on the 23rd day of May 2023, the Shoshone clerk Kim Riley prepared and submitted the council a budget for the fiscal year ending June 30, 2024. Whereas such a budget was duly entered at large on the records of this council, and a copy thereof was made available for public inspection at the office of the Shoshone Town Hall. And whereas notice of a public hearing on such budget was published in the absence of a local newspaper via general circulation in the town of Shoshone, including an official town of Shoshone online resources accessed by the public. Whereas a public hearing was held on such budget at the time and place specified in said notice, at which time all interested parties were given an opportunity to be heard. And now, therefore, be it resolved by the council that the town of Shoshone budget be adopted as the official town of Shoshone budget for FY 2024, year ending June 30, 2024. Be it further resolved that the following appropriations as provided for in ordinance FY 2024 be made for the fiscal year ending June 30, 2024, and that the expenditures of each officer, department, or spending agency be limited to the amount herein appropriated. Be it further resolved, the town of Shoshone approves a general tax levy of 8 mills on all taxable property within the town of Shoshone. The town of Shoshone has a memorandum of understanding with the Fremont County Fire Protection District to provide fire protection for the town of Shoshone. The town of Shoshone approves to send Fremont County Fire District 3 mills of the 8 mills from the general tax levy as provided by law for fire protection. Section 1, the following sums of money for the objects and purposes herein specified, which are deemed necessary to defray expenses and liabilities for the town of Shoshone for the period July 1, 2023 through June 30, 2024, and shall be set aside for the following purposes. General administration, $248,552. Mayor and council, $34,134. Municipal court, $69,192. Streets and alleys, $78,196. Parks and recreation, $68,146. Airport, $500. Fire department, $17,775. Police department, $542,696. Library, $4,000. Water, $204,908. Wastewater, $142,811. Capital projects, $4,198,544. Senior housing, $69,794. Medical clinic, $10,860. Total, $5,690,108. Section 2, providing further that the town of Shoshone, providing further that the Shoshone Town Council recognizes the need to raise the minimum monthly rates for water and wastewater to stabilize the enterprise fund due to unexpected increases in production and need for repairs and upgrade, and therefore necessitates increasing both water and wastewater rates. The base rate for water will increase $1 and wastewater $4 per month. The increased rate is required to ensure fiscal solvency as mandated by law and provided for required upgrades and repairs. The water minimum usage allowed per month will remain at 10,000 gallons per unit and $3 per 1,000 gallons in excess of the minimum usage. Effective date of rate increase to be July 1st, 2023.
Can I have a motion to approve the proposed budget?
Move.
Been moved by Councilman Stiller. Can I have a second?
Second.
And second by Councilman Zan. Any further discussion on the budget?
Oh. My turn again. I make a motion to amend the budget. I'm sorry. Oh, I'm asking for to make a motion to amend the budget.
Clerk, what are you wanting to amend?
Okay, this is to add $3,000 for a line item under general and administration for office support software for like Gmail, so that it can be specific.
Okay,
And then also a line item for $10,000 for office furniture. For additional.
additional.
Yeah, we currently have it for 15,000. And this would be adding an additional 10,000.
I guess in researching prices of furniture, it's went.
Yeah, pretty nice desk picked out. Yeah.
Not really.
Actually, we got canceled chairs.
Mhm.
They vibrate.
Yeah.
Massage.
You said for council.
Yeah.
Oh,
Oh, yes,
Yeah.
yes, all right. Now we're-
I don't think we're gonna do that either. Just saying. And where would yeah, and where would the funding come from?
Okay, so that is going, we
We can
currently,
get into discussion.
okay. Do you want me to explain it?
Go ahead and explain it. I open up the can, so go ahead.
We currently have 13,000 left, and this would zero out.
Oh, unprojected revenue.
Yeah.
Right. So we have the funding to do. it,
Yes,
was my
yes,
question.
it's not to increase
I move
revenue.
we amend the agenda to add the $10,000 for furniture and the $3,000 for software.
As stated by the town clerk.
As stated. by the
Amend the
council.
budget. Correct?
Yeah, I moved to
Okay.
amend the budget to reflect
Okay.
that.
Been moved by Councilman Stetler, second by Councilwoman Harkey to amend the agenda,
The budget.
the budget by $13,000
13,000.
total, as
Correct.
stated. Any further discussion? Any further discussion? None being, all in favor, say aye. Aye, opposed, same. Motion passed, all in the affirmative, thank you.
Thank you.
Fremont County Historic Society, young ladies, I appreciate you coming. Please introduce yourself.
Sure. If I can see over this, I don't know. Yeah. Polly Hines, Fremont County Historic Preservation Commission.
Joe Hartman, also. I'm the
Secretary, I'm the chair.
Joe Odie Hartman,
Okay. Oh,
for any of those that had Mrs. Odie for a school teacher as I did.
So my apologies. I looked on the website and looked up how many counselors there were and the mayor, and I don't have a copy for you, this gentleman here, or
Oh, that's
for you. My apologies. So.
I'll get the mayor's.
So the council members and then Mayor Highsmith. This is by way of introduction of us. We're a certified local government created by Fremont County Commissioners in 1988. And our job is to try to preserve the history of Fremont County in its original forms. We're all new members. We've all been elected for a 3-year term. And we were looking for projects, and we were discussing Shoshoni and giving more attention to Shoshoni. Landry gets a lot of attention, Riverton gets a lot of attention, Du Bois gets a lot of attention. We thought it was kind of time for Shoshoni to get some attention. So we came up with the idea to ask you if you would be in favor of creating a bronze or aluminum plaque to commemorate what old downtown Shoshoni looked like, and take an original photograph of Main Street and the downtown and put that at the top of the plaque, then a short description underneath. And then on a steel pedestal, and put it where the Shaver was, where you have your new park. We thought it would be great to show kind of befores and afters and the history and what it looked like originally. Because it's gone now, but we can show a picture of the neat history that was there and put a little blurb on the plaque. And I got some quotes. I tried to get a quote from Eagle Bronze to try to keep it in Fremont County because they're the only bronze foundry in Wyoming now. There was one, I think, up in Buffalo, but he said, Ed said it had closed. So he does farm it out to someone in Oklahoma because he does mainly, obviously, the art and the statues and the things that you see around Fremont County and all around the world, apparently. Very famous foundry. So I approached him. He'll get me a quote, but I can say that it will probably be in the $2,000 range if you look at the things that the quotes that I've gotten from there's a Texas one, and then I can't remember where the other one is from. The Marcosa is this is their specialty. So it would look ideally like this one. And that's their specialty. They've been doing it for, a long time. So I think that they're probably very close to what Eagle Bronze would be asking for making the plaque as well. We would like to go for a grant to write a grant through SHPO for the State Historical Office, and we'll sure try for that. If you could find something in your budget to pitch in, that would be great. At some point, it takes about 6 weeks for the plaque to be made, cast in the bronze. They do the casting, and then they will ship it for that price and with the stand, and we would probably have to put it in. Basically, however you wanted it, wherever you wanted it in the park, and however you wanted it laid in. I imagine just putting it in a cement, some kind of, like you do a post. But I think it would be a lovely thing to do for the town. I think it would be a nice homage to the entire town and the great history that's here, the railroad history, the sheep industry, all the different ranches and those kind of things. I mean, this was the hub. This was the hub for this whole part of the county, and it's just huge. And I would love to see that honored. And we all voted on that would be our first project. So we all have 3-year terms, and this is what we would love to start with. So we wanted to know if you could support that, and if you did, from your archives, what kind of photograph, black and white. It has to be 1 meg for them to reproduce it properly in the detail. So if you had a early 8x10s or small, even 5x7s, they could reproduce that in the casting, and then we could work together on the text for it. I don't think this has a lot of verbiage in this text, and I think if you put that much on there, I'm not sure how much the attention span is of most tourists, but it might be enough to make them stop and honor your heritage by stopping and reading and taking a break from driving, before they go somewhere else in the county. And it would be about you and about where you come from.
I think people that are interested in history will read it,
Yes,
and people
yes,
that are not
yes.
will just sort of
right.
glance through. But if people are
Right.
really interested,
They will.
I enjoy that myself. I stop at many places.
Sure, at all the markers,
Yes. Yes.
state historical marker.
Can you put a QR code on it? QR code, take a picture with the camera?
I imagine we
and get more
could.
Information from,
I imagine we could, and do a link to you guys. That's a great idea.
you've never done that before?
No.
Do it.
Yeah. Okay.
So, you could have additional pictures, you could have more historical background, other trivial facts,
Right.
but.
And people love the old pictures. I mean, they love
yeah,
the
so
old
if you
pictures.
Got a QR code. I don't know if they could do that on this.
I don't know, I can ask. Why not?
You could do on a secondary post next to it too, though.
Sure,
You know what I mean?
absolutely.
If
Yep.
the plaque attracts the attention,
And maybe right underneath it, you could put the QR code, you know, in a, and secure it, yeah. Yeah, secure it, because you know how people are.
Well, I don't
You know.
Put that into.
I'm not sure they could do it in bronze, but I bet we could do it on the same post.
Okay, so throw that out to your
I will,
manufacturer.
I will. I mean, there's no harm in asking. That's a good idea.
I kind of thought when we first started doing that park back in 20 that there really should be something there of that nature on. I tried a few different ideas out, nothing really took. Maybe it's because it wasn't meant to be, but if we can find it in the budget, I'd be all in favor of this.
I just think it's just a wonderful opportunity to.
No, I agree.
And I had talked to Mayor Highsmith about it, you know, when he
Yes.
came in and introduced himself at the commission, and we were both very excited about, said, you've got some great archives. That you've got some great photographs, and that's just gives me goosebumps. That's just my cup of tea. So I don't know whether you have to do a motion or how we proceed from here procedurally. If there's a support for this.
We would. How much money are you looking for a 50-50 split on the funding, or do we get?
I would be happy to do that. We get a very small budget from that. We get $1,000 a year to do everything that we do. So we have to grant write,
Sure.
and we're new at that, but we're excited about doing it. So, you know, if we could do some kind of matching thing, that would be wonderful.
And we might be able to, if you need help with the grant, we might be able to help you with.
That would be wonderful.
With that also, if it gets pointed in the right, right direction, we probably.
That would be great.
I'm guessing we could help you with that.
That would be
Also.
wonderful.
But yeah, I think it's a great idea.
And I was thinking the 24 by 24, I'm not sure what,
That's what I've cut mine.
it's got to be big enough to, do something.
The bronze is cool, but
It's
Kind of-
Tony.
I'm
It's
kind of
pricey.
thinking more, well, but it says right there with the weight and this and that, and kind of aluminum's the way
Yeah.
people are kind of going, it is what I understood.
Yeah. And I think, he said more than willing to, he can do it on either one. He was very accommodating, this Ron Foglia. He was, they've been doing it over 100 years, and they've got, they've got the facility to do it. And
How old is this guy?
which one?
He's been doing it over 100 years.
That's right.
Yeah.
He's of age.
Does the aluminum hold up as well?
No, it won't. It won't hold up as well as, and it doesn't hold up to abuse as well. You can scratch it more easily. The bronze, you're really going to have to abuse it to hurt it. And he was real clear on that. He said, there's a reason why it's cheaper.
Right.
They're going to do, what they do is a sand cast of this. And,
Yeah.
it's when they, the old adage, it's cast in bronze, right?
Right.
And, he says here, it's 5,000 years they've been casting bronze. And so, if we're going to pay for something, I almost think we should err towards the bronze and have something that's going to be there 100 years from now. Instead of something that'll be there
Sure.
25 or 40 years. So,
Yeah, very, I'm sure. If, I don't know, clerk, I don't know if we have any budget left in this year's budget where we could do something.
It's a 50-50 split,
Yeah.
and the total is 2875 on the 24 by 24.
Right.
$3,000.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'll bet. I don't. Then we might get a, pardon?
24 by 24 is what, yeah. Which I think is, decent enough size to get attraction and be able to see the image. He said, it has to be 1 meg resolution to really get a good image of that cast. The letter's not a problem. And we can also, talk about the font too. But I think, just a regular like Georgian, so that it's very readable by all different age groups and countries and,
I believe right now we have a consensus to look into this. I'd like to look at the grant, see if we can get some help.
okay,
Then we will know exactly,
How much?
if we can get $1,000 grant, so we may be looking at 2,000, not 3,000 and.
okay.
And then at the next meeting, hopefully we can have this put together so we can try to put a price on it.
That's,
Does that make sense to everybody here? And we'll sort of we'll look into it and see what we can develop, but
okay.
I think this is great. And I really appreciate you young ladies thinking of Shoshoni and.
Well, it's a
and-
rich
and help-
history.
Help us doing this for us to do the right thing, huh, Joe?
Well, yeah, I kind of thought we needed something there from the beginning.
Right, yeah. We talked about it early on.
Just
Yes, we
didn't
did.
have the idea, so maybe we can do this.
Yeah.
That would be great. That'd look nice and better than anything I could come up with, for sure.
Well, that's exciting.
So sure appreciate you making the trip to town.
Absolutely.
You
Thanks
bet.
for hearing our story.
Thank you. We appreciate it. And I'll be in touch.
Excellent. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Let me give you one.
Please do.
These I have enough of. We just had these made up, so.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. Thank you. I'm sorry, I didn't have something for you.
Oh, that's okay.
That's the internet for you. It doesn't give you the whole story, just part of the story.
He doesn't get a break anyways.
I'm
sorry if I talked off guard with that question.
Not at all.
We've never had that one before. QR code
Oh, yeah, we're developing one for our website.
or on a plaque though.
Yeah, no, I know they do that,
Okay.
but it's very 21st century.
Sure.
I mean, well, thank you.
We'll move on to. Thanks a lot. We'll move on to permits. We have a business license, the Big Chill. Their little Courtney McVeigh out of 1221 Sheridan Avenue, Cody, Wyoming. The Big Chill, the handcrafted ice cream mobile cart. And they're wanting to do. They'd like to bring this business so they can operate their mobile ice cream cart in Shoshoni for the peaks to Conga ride. We got a date? Do we know a date? Date? No, that's,
No, that's right. It was,
I don't know what date the event is,
didn't show.
but I gotta,
Well, it's covered for the whole year. Yeah, so it doesn't
Okay.
matter.
Yeah.
okay, well, sure.
Move we approve the. business license.
Been moved by Councilman Stellar, second by Councilman Zant, that we approve the business license for Courtney McVeigh for a handcrafted ice cream cart. Any further discussion? None being, all in favor, say aye. Aye, pose the same. She passed all in the affirmative. New business, oh. Unfinished business. I believe we need to announce that we're gonna put some land for sale. As we had discussed in our executive session. So the first properties we're gonna have for sale is the believe it's under 6 acres west of town that, that we had surveyed earlier. We're gonna break that up into 3 parcels, approximately 2 acres or less each, and put them for sale. We need to do a little bit of surveying to get the lots proper description, and then we'll put them for sale via closed sealed bid. That the will of the council. So we'll have more information, and we'll advertise it and get it all broke down. But that's our intention as soon as we get it surveyed, and then we can advertise it and we'll put it up for sale. Anybody else have any input? I guess entertain a motion to give me the authority to move forward on that. Been moved by Councilman Zant to give the mayor the authority to move forward on preparing the property for sale and put it up for auction. And second by Councilman Stetler. Any further discussion? None being, all in favor, say aye. Aye. All same. Motion passed by the affirmative. Wind River Visitors Council budget. Helen, would you? Excuse me, I
Yeah.
skipped. WAM delegate, we need to select a WAM delegate for the upcoming meeting.
Will we select Mayor Highsmith for our land delegate?
Can I have a second?
Second.
Been moved and seconded that Mayor Highsmith is selected as the WAM delegate at the upcoming conference next month. Any further discussion? None being, all in favor, say aye. Aye, there's the same. Motion passed, all in the affirmative. Now, Wind River Council budget.
Hi, my name is Helen Wilson, and I'm with the Wind River Visitors Council. I am hoping everybody received the budget packet that we sent out. Does everybody have that? Yes, okay, wonderful. So I'm just going to point out some of the big changes. We have had another record-breaking year for tourism. And what that means, the Wind River Visitors Council is responsible for the lodging tax and marketing our community with that. And the current fiscal year, our budget was $729,500, and it is increasing for this upcoming fiscal year to $1,016,610. Some of the things that we did this year, one of them was we got to have our first CPA audit. We have had CPA reviews in the past, but we hit the $1 million mark for revenue. And so we have more money budgeted for the audit. We've also increased the conference attendance and mileage and meals line. We found that traveling around representing Wind River country, which is Fremont County and the Wind River Indian Reservation, is a really positive thing. And we really have watched revenue go up significantly. So the money comes from hotel stays, and it's a 4% local lodging tax. Shoshoni gets a flat rate in the form of tourism asset development TAD funds. So the current fiscal year, that's $8,000. The upcoming fiscal year, we're looking at raising that to $10,400 because of the increase in revenue. The way that the TAD program works is 25% of the revenue goes directly back to the TAD program, to the communities in the percentage that they contribute to it. And both Hudson and Shoshoni have so few accommodations that we give flat rates for those two places, which comes higher than what it would be if it was an actual percentage. We've also increased our FAM tours and press trips. That's people that come to the area for media We get lots of news stories. We were in several magazines this year. So it's helping to support that. We also have conference meeting marketing, because we'll be at more conferences. We're going to need to market those. And with COVID on the downfall, we've increased our international marketing budget because people are starting to want to travel internationally again. Something else that we did this year, and this is at the bottom of the Joint Powers budget here, is the Wyoming Office of Tourism provided lodging tax boards with the opportunity to apply for Destination Development Program funds. So we were able to receive an additional $300,000 in money that needs to be spent between now and the end of next fiscal year. So the end of June 2024. This is a program that I hope will be ongoing, where it's money that can be spent on things that the regular local lodging tax can't be spent on, like beautification projects, like the project that the woman from the Historical Society was talking about, where you can actually build things. So that's a really exciting program for us. I've got highlights in my notes here. So the lodging tax was on the ballot in November, and it passed with 72% in favor. I did look up what Shoshoni's percentage was. It was slightly lower than that at 67%. We also saw lower in Hudson as well, which is interesting, but 72% was the average. Jobs and wages, tourism directly supported 1,665 jobs. Some travel trends for 2023. Consumers are booking vacations earlier. There's an increase in international travel. Travel costs are on the rise. There is an increase in off-season travel. There is an increase in off-grid travel and connecting with nature. We've also been involved in several projects with the communities. We have several of them. And one of them is a tourism study of Fremont and Hot Springs counties. And this is an organization called PGAV Destinations. And the college was able to receive a grant to do this study. And it was a pretty expensive grant. But what we're really hoping to see from this is that we'll find out what the communities could benefit for, and that'll help us to apply for grants for projects around communities that, once again, the lodging tax either can or can't support depending on the project, but we can always keep an eye on those grant opportunities and help to apply for them. I did mention the Destination Development Program, which is a really exciting thing for the state. We also are helping organizations to apply for the American Rescue Plan Act ARPA grant, which is through the Wyoming Office of Outdoor Recreation. I know that Shoshoni had applied for one of those grants. We provided a letter of support, and there will be a second round of grant funding opening up. There'll be $12 million available. So if there's other outdoor recreation grants that Shoshoni would like to apply for, then we can absolutely assist with those applications and letters of support toward those projects. Something else we did this year, we applied for the 2022 Sunset Travel Awards, and we actually won. We, as in Wind River Country, won the title Remarkable Outdoor Recreation Region. So we've been using this in our marketing and getting really great results from it. People are clicking on it everywhere. So it's a very positive thing for the community. I am aware that there probably are some questions. We do this every year, and I'm happy to answer any questions about the Wind River Visitors Council or the budget approval process or the TAD program. I know that this year the TAD funding switched from the Shoshoni Chamber of Commerce to the town of Shoshoni. So I'm happy to talk about or answer any questions, or I'm here for whatever you want me here for. So I'll be quiet there and let other people speak. I'm going to grab my water.
I have a question for you, Helen. I was actually hoping Hal would be here because he does a really good job of explaining it. But line 22, code 6100, can you explain how the pay raises will be implemented?
line, I'm not seeing which line, but the payroll. So the way that there's a compensation committee, and I believe Mayor Highsmith, you're on that committee as well, along with Hal Heron, another one of our board members, and Helen Gordon. And what we've done per the committee, we've allocated up to a 10% raise. And that could be a raise, it could be a bonus. I believe that the committee is still working on that, but we wanted to put something in there for that. So I was told to put the number up to 10% for both positions.
And that doesn't mean it will be 10%, but it could be.
It could be 1%, it could be nothing, it could be 10%. And that is, we've been working on a metrics, and you're right, Hal Heron is very, very good at explaining this. But what he did was he contacted all of the other lodging tax boards throughout the state to find out what they were paying, what their benefits were. He came up with a metrics. We've been working on a self-evaluation process where the employee gets does a self-evaluation, supervisor does an evaluation, compare the two, looking at job descriptions. It's actually turned into a very big process, and we're not quite there yet, but there is a compensation committee working on that. And I am not part of the compensation committee, but I am aware of what's going on with it, and we'll be working with I have one staff member, so I'll be evaluating her, and then the president and the treasurer will be evaluating me, and then we'll figure out the metrics for that.
Okay, 'cause the other bit, like, 'cause there's been no evaluations yet. But
There have been no
somewhere in the
somewhere in the near future. The hope was to have them done by the end of this fiscal year, but we want the process to be good and to be solid and to have clear metrics. And I'm not sure. We've been working on it for so many months now that I'm not sure we'll quite be there by the end of June.
Okay. Okay, I think line 71 code DD, it appears that there's money's already been spent. Of the $2,700, and you informed me there's been more than that already.
There has been a little bit more than that. When the board voted on that, so we applied for this in January, and we only had about 3 weeks to apply to the Wyoming Office of Tourism for this money, with the understanding that we had until the end of June 2024 to spend it. What's really exciting about this money is that it can be spent on things that the regular lodging tax can't. So it can support infrastructure, it can support things besides marketing. And the way that it's written on the budget here, I myself and the treasurer, Helen Gordon, there's two Helens, we met with our CPA, which is Red and Kane and Associates, and asked them the best way to put this on the budget. And so you'll see in line D, column D, the $300,000, which we received in January. And then you'll see in the next fiscal year where the expenses are. And the accountant is going to, or has put them, or recommended, he's working on it, or I'm not exactly sure where we are with that, but it's going to be classed as prepaid expenses, and to keep the $300,000 in the next fiscal year, which starts July 1st. And we get advice on all of this from whether it's the CPA or in the case of our audit from the auditor. Our audit was, and I'm going to use this word because we were really proud of it. We were told it was unheard of how clean it was for a first year audit. We had 2 findings. One of them apparently was just a housekeeping thing that has to do with having a small staff. And the other was some paperwork we had submitted to the bank and had notarized and everything that never actually got processed. So those were our two minor hits. But we were really proud of it. I think our systems are good, and we have a solid board of directors that's made up from representatives around the county. So we have 2 from Du Bois, 2 from Lander, 2 from Riverton, 1 from Hudson, Mayor Highsmith from Shoshoni, and then we have 2 county representatives as well.
It's. I've talked to you, Helen, about this. I have some concern. When I seen the auditor's report, I read the auditor's report that did the audit. My question was to them, did they know that this is a joint powers board under the Visitors Council? And they were required to follow basically the same as the joint powers. The municipalities, they did not, because they were lacking in their description of how the funding went and was approved. They were incorrect with their statements. So I did call them up and they said, well, we'll correct it next year. We did not know. My understanding, this 2,700 and other was never brought before the joint powers, which it's the same way as we're presenting our budget now. The municipalities, we put a budget's put together and the budget is presented to the council members to vote on and approve. The joint powers boards puts their budget together and brings it to the joint powers for approval. So the $300,000 and Helen's been advised by accountants and CPA to do exactly what she's done. But my understanding from state statutes that this is incorrect. And I've talked with several. I also talked with the attorney representing us and my concerns about this, and he said this all needs to be in the budget. That is, this budget should be 1.3 million, because this all should be in a budget. We should have the same explanation. They did a really good job on the rest of this, but we didn't have any on this. And should not have spent any money because it went over budget without approval of the joint powers. This is unanticipated revenue that, should have been brought in. Part of why this is so difficult, Wind River Visitors Council only meets every other month. And it really makes hard to work on a budget and putting this together, working every other month. And that's definitely the current position of the board, that's the majority of the board. That's what they want to work. But I personally believe we're not doing a good job, because it's hard to do that in only meeting every other month the $1 million budget. But in any event, I have problems with that. Did I explain that fairly, Claude?
I think you did, and I appreciate your comments, Mayor Highsmith. One thing that I would like to bring up is I think that there's a lot of confusion surrounding joint powers boards. And I have actually the state lodging tax manual here, which has all the state statutes, and it's got all the numbers and the coding and all of that. But what it basically says is the joint powers board is so each municipality and the county puts a representative on the board. So the joint power board itself is the Wind River Visitors Council, the board of directors. And this is the board must include at least one representative appointed by each county or city participating in the joint powers board agreement, state statute 3915, 211, and then a bunch of other things on here. And this goes on and on and on. The tricky thing with the Wind River Visitors Council is we have one line in our bylaws that's not in the state information, but it's in our actual bylaws that states that the budget needs to be approved by the governing bodies as well as by the Joint Powers Board. In the past, we've made budget adjustments. We've gotten CARES money to support COVID recovery, things like that. And we've been told by our attorney, and I did talk to him again recently, that we need to get the initial budget approved by the governing bodies. And it is tricky because we have numerous governing bodies, but the Joint Powers Board itself is. This budget went to the Joint Powers Board, which has representatives from each community, and it was approved there, the revision. The first budget was obviously approved in each of the municipalities, including this one last year. So we have ran into this over and over again. And one thing that I to do, our Joint Powers Agreement was written in 1989, and there's according to another mayor, the mayor of Riverton, there's even parts of it that he can't find because it's so old. And I think that one thing that we really need to look at is revising the Joint Powers Agreement, revising the bylaws, revising all of this because it is so dated. But the current system is getting the budget approved through the governing bodies, and the Joint Powers Board itself is the Wind River Visitors Council Board as appointed by each of the municipalities. So Mayor Highsmith is your representative from Shoshoni. And I believe we have our president of the board on, I see his name up there anyway. I don't know if he's hiding behind his name. At this point, the budget has been approved by the Joint Powers Board, the Wind River Visitors Council Board, as well as Du Bois, Lander, Riverton, and Hudson. So it's Shoshoni and then the county commissioners. And it always is a process. I called it a season when I was talking in Riverton, and they agreed it does sometimes feel like a season getting this budget approved. But I have, and I'm happy to share the lodging tax manual electronically with anybody who would like it. It's a lot of pages and a lot of additions and things like that, but it was just revised in 2020. And we, as far as the audit goes, we've been working with our auditor, who's Fagnant, Lewis and Brenda, for many, many, many years, and they have done all of our CPA reviews. This year was our first audit with them. They've come to our board meetings. I believe that they know who we are and what we do. I mean, they've looked at all of our paperwork for many, many years. So that's where we are with that. And I am happy to answer questions. This is always challenging. And I think there's a lot of confusion around the Wind River Visitors Council and what we do and what the TAD money is and what the TAD money can be used for. And I am always happy to provide any information anybody wants, as well as to speak about, topics or questions or any of that.
This would be similar, as you're explaining it, if we get unanticipated revenue comes into the council, and me and the clerk decided we just go spend it without the council's approval. We are all here are elected officials. We're here. Why that was put in the way it was is for oversight of the board by the elected officials. The board is appointed by appointed members that represent the elected officials. If there's any spending that's not proper or anything, that comes back on to the elected officials, because ultimately we are responsible. That's why the budget is brought before us for the approval. And the 300K that's of unanticipated revenue needs to be brought in to be approved by the people, elected by the people's oversight. As our money, as we spend our money for the city, we've got to do it in a public hearing, open for this. And this is the same that's required. And this is my understanding of the Wind River Visitors Council, that needs to be done this way. And I spoke recently with the board's attorney and on this 300,000, and that was the advice he gave me, that it was unanticipated revenue, that it in fact needed to be approved by us. My question is, by approving this, like we are approving it, but we've spent money out of budget that apparently we shouldn't have. They were expecting to spend more until I spoke up and said we shouldn't be doing this. And I think I could not vote to approve this budget till we get more clarification. If it remains as it is now, I mean, we didn't get any. We did not receive the clarification as you did on the earlier and why it's separated like this, but I think that's something that probably could be easily fixed.
Well, as far as the destination development money, and I did speak to our attorney, and he, I've been told by the accountant and explained to the attorney that we have the $300,000 listed under the 2022 to 2023 budget. So that is extra money that we got that is in the budget, which was revised by the board, which is the Joint Powers Board, and that was revised in January. The expenditures themselves are actually listed in the 2023 to 2024 budget. And when I spoke to the attorney, he seemed happy with it being listed in the 2023 to 2024 budget, and also commented that this is not our regular revenue. This is extra money from a different source that can be spent in different ways. So it doesn't apply to the normal procedures.
No, it can be spent differently, but it still needs the oversight of the governing bodies to approve it. And we should receive the same explanation on the budget as you did everything.
Well, and we haven't done that in the past. Since 1989, we've done many revised budgets, including CARES money for the past 2 years, which totaled over $500,000 between the 2 years. And this is where it gets tricky. And I mentioned that we really need to look at revising these joint powers agreements and bylaws, because it isn't stated that you need to get any revisions approved. And the revision for this year is adding in $300,000, which will be spent next year in beautification and community projects. I do not believe we have done anything wrong. When I spoke to the attorney, he didn't believe we'd done anything wrong. The other municipalities have not had an issue with this $300,000. And I'm happy to.
Correct.
The which?
Du Bois was a 3-2 vote.
Du Bois was a 3-2 vote, and everybody else has been unanimous. And actually, the one of the people who I have spoken to and who voted no in Du Bois has been in communication with me and asking lots and lots of questions about it, which I've been answering. And I would respectfully ask this council to look at the budget, to ask questions, and to consider approving this. So that we can move forward with our budget approval process. And
Riverton went through a second meeting.
Riverton wanted to, they hadn't received the packet, and so they wanted time to review it, but there weren't any issues. They were very friendly and very open to it, and have had numerous conversations with town council, city council members there as well.
Ever invited any of the or title membership to be on this committee?
That is a great question. We have been working so much with both the Northern Arapaho and the Eastern Shoshoni, and we just finished an audio tour with them where we have basically, as you drive through the reservation, we've got elders telling the story on an app. We just worked on an intertribal tourism summit. We're working on getting accurate photos that properly represent the reservation as opposed to just pretty powwow pictures. And I've been working with one of our board members, Cy Lee, who's Northern Arapaho, and he's a county representative. And I could give my opinions right and left on this, but I do think, as I've mentioned, that we should look at revising our joint powers agreement. And I also would love to have one of the requirements be that the tribes are represented. I think the county's done a good job since I've been in my position anyway of having a tribal representative, but that isn't stated in the joint powers agreement. It's just the county position needs to reside outside of one of the town or city's limits. But I just love working with the reservation, and I've been really happy with the relationship that we've built with them in the last 2 years.
On the destination development. Is there any sites, any projects considered for Shoshoni at all on that?
We don't have specific Shoshoni projects listed. We have a lot of county-wide projects listed. We have the Destination Development Co-op, and that is a state co-op. Those are very beneficial because we pay half and the state pays half. Also, we've got a map now going through Yellowstone, the Yellowstone National Park Journal. We're on TripAdvisor, we as in the whole county, as well as Shoshoni. And we're working on fly fishing and some videos and things like that. With the last round of money that we received that was outside of our regular budget, which was the CARES money, the Shoshoni actually got the biggest benefit from that with the digital sign. And that was, we try to balance things out, because one of the challenges for my position is the phone calls that I get saying, well, you put this amount toward this town and this amount didn't go to this town. So we do try to balance it out evenly. No, there isn't anything specific for Shoshoni on the destination development. There are things that are specific for the county, including Shoshoni. And also I would love to, and I know that Mayor Highsmith and I have talked about this a little bit, but I would love to explore some options like getting Shoshoni designated as a dark sky community, where we could really bring astronomers to the area to go out into the areas surrounding the town where it's dark. And a dark sky community is a national recognition, and it is something that people look for. And I think that Shoshoni, the size, the amount of people, I think it's doable. Somewhere like Lander or Riverton, there's no way it would qualify for that because it's just too bright. But I think Shoshoni stands a really good chance, and I would love to work on projects like that with Shoshoni, as well as the project that the woman was talking about, the QR codes. I have wrote myself a note saying, get in contact with her about QR codes and see how we can help. We really do want Wind River Country to thrive and to be somewhere where people want to go. And one of the things that I really see about Wind River Country is the diversity of each of the communities. Everywhere is so different. Du Bois is different than Lander, and Lander's different than Shoshoni. And that's something that, people always talk about, a tourism asset for the whole community. The tourism asset that I see for Wind River Country is its diversity. And I know Mayor Highsmith had mentioned that there was 2 people who didn't vote for the budget. And the reason they didn't in Du Bois is they're feeling overcrowded. And they don't, some people aren't wanting more visitors. And they specifically mentioned the lines for restaurants in the summer. Unfortunately, they have this thing really close by called Yellowstone. So they are a tourist destination, whether that's their hope or not. But, we talked to Riverton, and Riverton really wants those tourists. And I think Lander's somewhere in between, where it's a little crowded, but more tourism is definitely welcome. So there are a lot of complexities regarding this budget and regarding what the Wind River Visitors Council does. And that's why I really feel like transparency is the best policy for this. And I'm always happy to speak. I'm going to bring up the historical group again. They've just asked me while you were in executive session to speak at their meeting on June 21st. And so we're really trying to spread the word about what we're doing and be transparent with our budget. And we don't just throw these numbers down. I did have conversations with our CPA about how to do this, with our board president, with our attorney. And I think we have a very solid budget here. We're looking at good numbers for tourism. We're doing well. This is a positive thing. There's no issues here. And I would love to see us be able to move forward without worrying about what happens if somebody chooses not to approve this.
I would like a motion to table this to our next meeting. Give us a chance to research this 300,000. I believe that leads into possibly a bigger issue. I'd like to just get that resolved. I would be by the next meeting.
When's the budget due date?
The final date is the end of June. And then if that doesn't get approved, then by all of the entities by then no money can be spent. And that includes TAD money for any of the communities. The Wind River Visitors Council can't function because we can't spend any money on rent or supplies or anything like that. And once again, another reason why we need to review the joint powers agreement, because it is written in one sentence as an all or nothing. And as I've said, at this point, everybody's approved it except for Shoshoni and the county commissioners. We have not yet gone to the county commissioners. And I am, once again, respectfully asking for a vote this evening.
I see this as a potential issue that I think we need clarification on changing the joint powers board. There's been a movement in our group, when you're Visitors Council, to circumvent public oversight of your budget, of our budget. There's been sentiment that it was stated multiple times. There's only a courtesy that you came through the municipalities and asked for the permission on the budget. But we are the elected officials, and it is our duty to oversee this and make sure it's done right. That's what I'm trying to do as a member and as a mayor, to make sure we're doing that. I think we need to look at this before we just rubber stamp it. And it won't hurt Wind River Visitors Council to wait 2 weeks and still have plenty of time to get it through and sort a few things out. 2 weeks will not harm the Wind River Visitors Council.
Marshall, do you have any opinions?
Well, I haven't actually seen the budget, but I will say that the Joint Powers Board, Joel is correct. The job of the Joint Powers Board is to act as the fiduciary. They're the one, they have a fiduciary responsibility to ensure all money is properly spent. So for example, we'll just throw in something there like the grant money, right? Comes in later, but let's say there's rules on how that grant money is supposed to be spent. Well, if it gets spent wrong and people know about it, but the board didn't do their oversight, they didn't do their fiduciary responsibility to ensure that that money's spent properly. Does that
You're
make
making
sense?
the joint powers us being
Correct.
us,
Yeah,
not
yeah.
the board
To
is the
review.
Wind River Visitors Council.
Yeah, but
The joint powers has to.
Yeah, the board should be having oversight and checking on it to make sure it's done properly. All boards, that is your job. Just like the council here. You have a fiduciary responsibility to ensure that money's being properly spent. You don't run the day-to-day management,
No,
but you do have the responsibility of checking, to make sure it's being done correctly.
Thank you. I move we table this, Wind River Visitors Council budget.
been moved by Councilman Zent, we table Wind River Visitors Council budget till our next meeting.
Yeah.
Can I have a second? Second by Councilman Hartke. Any further discussion? None being, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Pose the same. Motion passed in the affirmative. Thank you for your presentation.
The change orders.
Pass bar change order number 002R to
2024.
That the correct amount?
Yep.
28,306.43.
Expenditures here, it ain't here.
Where is there? Do we have their letter in the paperwork?
Should be on your paperwork.
I think I'm a little clear on it myself, that's why I'm looking forward to a little time to investigate it a little further.
No, is it on his?
Might be on his.
They got it there.
Chris had a emergency, had to respond.
I know that.
Yep.
Oh,
But anyway, we
Put it-
met with Caspar.
I have one online, right here.
Okay. I don't know, come on up.
yeah.
It's under email, so you can close out
Okay.
It's showing
that one and open up the next one out.
this year. For income from the year before.
Okay.
I think that's.
This.
Yeah.
On the same email, just down lower.
I'm not
Get that.
sure about that.
That ain't the same thing.
What's it supposed to be used for? It
That's
actually get
yeah,
used for.
where it came from. It didn't come from nowhere this year in the budget. I think that's.
I think you're right. Asking questions.
It came from last year's budget, don't you remember? I think that's the concern.
Yeah. Like where did it come from?
Yeah, the designation development.
Yeah, it's,
Yeah, I think it was in there. It was a grant. Islands.
I don't have, it. I can't find it on my computer.
It doesn't say nothing about it. It's just be there for this year.
move on.
I have to hold up the order. The first one, yeah. I have no idea.
I got that.
We went to deal with the school yesterday. All I heard was like, I was like, she's charging about. It's all I can hear.
You go inbox. I see town meeting attached. That's the only one I see is this one. That's the one I open.
That's no motel.
It's kind of the same.
Yeah, there it is.
That's the one. A lot of the same people. Didn't really affect me this thing, nobody cares about our life.
That's where it's at.
So I get my hands on it.
This cast.
It's pretty crisp. Oh, locked off here.
That in on the hotel.
This one here, that's what it's trying to be. That's the first one. That's the.
R2,
R2, correct. Yeah, that's R2.
R2. Change order in the amount of 28,306.43. Chris and I sat down with the architect and the contractor. That's just, I got the wrong one now. It's 15,000.
That's R3s or.
Yeah, I got the R3. Let's do R3 first.
Okay, then I can get out of it.
Okay, let me get out of this, see if I can get back on the other one. Yeah, they got them. It should be 28,306.
Right.
Yeah, I gave it, one of the big questions was the 701. Sitting with talking with the superintendent and one of the co-owners of the company. They chose the most expensive hotel in Riverton, I believe. But that's the one they chose for the whole job, not just this. That's what they've chosen. They were the hotel that could best serve them. They did check this Holiday Inn and the Sundowner. But anyway, that's the one they're using. Like I said, that was one of the best serving. When they looked up, it would be the days that they were going to come in and working with them on the price. The price was $150. That's an average price. A couple days it's earlier, the next day it's more, it's very, but they said that's the average time you put in taxes and everything. They said that's their average cost, because they assured me they were not pocketing $50 a night or whatever. We had a pretty good discussion. But that's the same place for the whole job. That's what their business plan, that's what they called for. So I think we're stuck with it. I didn't like it. Sundowner's considerably cheaper and all the end, but they said they talked to both of them and they wouldn't accommodate the schedule that they had. Because they're only like 3 nights a week, typically what they're staying. So that's what it is. I did though get 7% knocked off on they were charging us 18%, and we've got that down to 11% for overreach. They're 5 and 5. They were charging us 10, I think 10 and 6 or 9. Anyway, it came up to 18, and then 1% on their insurance. That's they pay that on insurance. So I did not get 7% knocked off. The blade, that is the saw, they call the double cut saw. They charge by how much blade is used, and that's something that's common. If you go rent a saw to cut cement, if you abuse it and use it, you can burn up a lot of expensive blade. Take care of it, you don't do so much. That's common practice in the industry.
Yeah, but it's their saw, just like their drills and everything else. That comes out of their pocket, in my mind.
No,
That's material that's
No,
used all the time.
but that's additional work, and them blades they have are expensive,
You're right, they are.
and
They should include that in the first time through.
but this is additional work. That's work that they did not plan on doing. So
I mean, if you can go to Riverton and rent their calf has one, you can go rent one and they'll measure your blade. Mike, you've probably done that. Not, I've done it. And that's the charges for the blade.
Definitely, I'm with you on as far as, I mean, it's gonna be what it's gonna be, but as far as. In my opinion, for the contract that, you know, what else, they idle their truck for an extra 60 minutes on the job, they charge us $6 diesel, I mean, where do you?
You know, there are real bits, so they're charged for those two. You know, you have to area bits, I mean, this is like Mike said, this is it.
Well, I'm not happy about it, but I will say it's not uncommon. It's not, if we were gonna go rent to do that, they charge for the blade. I'm just saying that's not uncommon. Do I particularly like it? No, but it's, I guess that's not an uncommon charge.
Yeah. Like I said, I guess you gotta have that, they're gonna use a hammer too, but they didn't charge for their hammer, the change order.
But
It's odd, I guess if they were here to defend themselves, they'd say, well, this is the saw that we have to rent and. Or we got it in our, you know, I don't.
right,
Their paperwork says it's $2,999 for the saw,
if you bought a saw,
so they have the saw. They didn't say they. Rented it.
well, you said that'd be the price if you bought a saw. It's the, but
Therefore, they have the saw.
if you rent, if you pay for a blade, they measure the blade. And that's a common practice. That's a common practice. The vehicle price is, that's reasonable. The per diem and what they charge today, that's probably also reasonable. Their hourly rate, they're charging is reasonable. Brad Brink is cheaper, but. But what they're, that's not out of the, not out of the realm of what they're charging. I'd love to have Brad Brink on this job, and he may not have charged us for the blade, you know, I don't know, but he may have. And then, like I said, we did get the 7% reduced that they charged.
Question?
Yeah, please step up, identify yourself. We have a question from the audience that I welcome.
Again, Matt DeVoe. In the contract, what does it cover on expendables?
Pardon?
What's their contract say on expendables?
This is additional work of non.
That's not what I'm asking. That's not the question.
The question, this is.
Non-contractual work.
This is out of scope.
This is non-contractual work.
This is out of scope.
Okay, so what does their contract say about expendables? What does the original contract say about expendable items? So if they cover the cost of expendables, I don't know, 30 years of construction. If your contract covers that you cover all expendables, that's a non-charge. That's change order grasping right there. Honestly, if the original contract to me says that the company will provide all grinding discs, all saw blades, all stuff that's intended to be disposed of.
Diamond blades are not that.
That I understand where they're coming from, and I understand where the renting of the equipment comes from, because when you rent a piece of equipment with a diamond saw blade, they expect to have a little bit of that left. But if you're going to bid a contract where all expendables are paid for by the company,
Sure.
I would have to take another look at that. I'm sorry. I agree with Mr. Zent on this.
We've had our expert, our representative, the architect, look at the contract and say this is all.
all substantial
Yes,
costs that would be inflected.
correct.
Well, I would take another look at it just to be safe, but that's me. I work a little different. If I tell a guy I'm gonna do this and you guys come back and say, hey, we need to have this done too. If something like this would come up where it's them ain't little numbers. I would have to take a look at it and see what it'd cost to maybe have somebody else step in for a minute or two. That's not unheard of to bring in another contractor to finish up some other stuff. Convenience of travel in and out, that's one thing. I get that too, but that's just me. I'm a little
Yeah,
different. I'm a little different.
It'll
when I'm out on the
cost,
field.
it'll cost more money if we don't do this than $300.
Oh, absolutely. It's-
I mean, yeah,
well, you can almost double it if you bring in another contractor on average, but. Okay, that's all.
but you bet, but thank you. Point well taken, but like I said, we sat down there with the contract, with our architect, with them, and that's where we got the 7%. That was one of the things I had the per diem flag and the 7% flag already. But our contract called for the 5 and 5, so that's what we ended up with. So that we could get per contract, the other is allowable by contract. And I have a motion to approve the change order for 28,306.43. That's change order, which number? R2. And I have a motion to approve.
We approve the change order.
Been moved by Councilman Stetler, we approve the change order. Can I have a second? And I have a second. We can get into discussion if you want to discuss some more. And I have a second. In second by Councilman Demme. Discussion. Discussion. If we, I'm just gonna say, if this was something that was, I'm not still happy about the $701, to be honest with you, but it's the same. They didn't change their method. I don't know. They got the motel they rented. Most like that's the most expensive one in town. Probably not the one I would have rented. Yeah, but it's what they chose for that. And they assured me that that's what they're expending. But
They're receiving per diem too.
yeah, they're
That's what's supposed to pay for your room and your motels and your food.
you can break it out. Typically where I've worked, I get motel and I get per diem so much a meal. If you look at government rates, they're gonna give you so much, we're allowed, depending which state, which county, which town you're in, you're gonna get so much per meal, so much for a room. And it's split out. That's common practice. If they were doing, billing it, they were staying in a quite a less expensive place and moved everybody to that for this change order, that'd be different, but that's where they're staying. Like I said, I wasn't happy about it. I still think it's a lot of money, but and we went over this, they're actually doing some extra work, bringing up extra guys because we've delayed this change order and they're up against the gun right now to finish it. Because we delayed the change order, not approved it the first time. But if they'd give us more information the first time, we could have approved it. I did not have the answers to the questions. So there's no other questions. call for the question. All in favor, you approve change order R2 for 28,306.43, say aye. Aye. Oppose the same.
I,
Is that 4-1? 4-1. Councilman Zanton, voted nay, not to approve. Thank you. Good discussion, and I appreciate all of it. Okay, Casper change order 003 R-1 for 15,237. I went through the same thing with this on the saw, the per diem. There again, we did get 7% off. So that's, you know, pretty good. That saved a few dollars.
What was this one for? I mean, the reason for it?
This is the haul off brick after the demo, and painting. Framing walls, finishing materials,
I mean, the whole reason.
bathrooms.
That wasn't in the original.
No, our bathrooms, there's no way they could make the bathrooms, you know, it should have been probably caught originally by the architect, but it just few inches, it would not become handicap accessible if the dimensions would not allow it. We're just a little bit off. It's far easier. The easiest thing to do is go ahead and demo the block and put in sheet rock and studs.
Do we want to split this with the architect since it was their fault?
Well,
I like that idea.
yeah,
And
Yeah.
third, I mean, I don't want to argue over the crap.
No,
Like,
no.
I'm tired, but I think we're the council that gets to sit here and they just say. Everybody else screwed up. You guys pay the bill.
I get the architect basically. It was missed, but this is something that should have been done and we'd have this cost in there anyway. So it's not, I mean, if this original design had this, we'd be paying for it anyway.
Would, but
Yeah, I
there
know.
again, the accountability comes back, could we fire our contractor and say, you guys didn't have this cost us an extra $15,000?
You mean fire the architect?
Architect, yeah, sorry. I think so as far as.
Yeah,
what's the
I-
Architect here defending
Yeah.
themselves.
I don't know what recourse when the project's all done, what we have.
We could write them a letter and request it. Say, this is your mistake, you never caught it.
What else are they not gonna catch? Like I said,
No.
it's not.
No, I agree.
But like stuff happens, but at the end of the day,
Oh, no, I
we're
agree.
paying the bill for
I.
everybody else went home to the Hampton 4 hours ago.
Yeah, I agree. It's, but this might be a discussion to take at a future date, or do you want to call for an executive session now?
No, so
I mean, you know, you want to.
like I said, we gotta, I guess we have this viewpoint of. Great, it's a town government money, spending whatever we want. And on the other hand, if this is my bill,
Sure.
someone shows up and says, here, I need you to approve an extra $50,000 because this guy screwed up, but. He's not paying for it, so it's like, that's more of my personal feeling on it.
Well,
Is this the last change order, or this is the beginning of change orders?
well, we may want to have a discussion with our attorney on things. I mean. I'm just,
I mean, like I said, I'm.
you know what I mean?
Life happens and there's unforeseen storm, but if we get to the end of this project, at what point do we say, well, we're an extra $200,000 into this, guys?
Correct.
And the architect says, so
Yeah,
here's our fee. Like that, I don't.
yeah, I know, I mean. And I'm not saying that we shouldn't have a discussion.
Sure.
Yeah.
So let's put it on the agenda for next time and vote on this.
We don't approve this?
I don't, it has to be paid no matter what. Just like the other one.
Yeah, we need to move, but we can have our discussion.
Discussion, right?
Correct, yeah, I agree. But in any event. Where were we? Did we have a motion in a second?
No.
Okay, can I have a motion to approve? Change order number 003 R1. In the amount of $15,237.
So moved.
Been moved by Councilman Zant,
I'll second it.
been seconded by Councilwoman Harkey. Is there any further discussion? None being, all in favor, say aye. Aye, pose the same. Motion passed only for. Councilman Stetler, do you have anything for the?
Just the brush deal, but that's been covered. So
Okay,
I guess, are we looking at our town cleanup or were you gonna touch on that later?
yeah, well, this would be a good time to touch and talk
So
about.
we had approved some funds already, I guess. Last meeting,
I believe.
but we hadn't set a date.
Okay.
Is
I
that
think we have a date.
Cause that, we were leaving a lot of that up to the
And
Director of Public
Chris-
Works.
Chris and Mike have
Yes.
been working on that, and neither one of them are here.
Okay, so,
And then they have a date.
and
Chris
they,
gave me that.
Pardon?
Chris gave me that before he left.
Okay,
He'd asked for a little bit of information I gathered was they were going to do town cleanup on May 30th.
through June.
So they were gonna go through the week. He's left too soon to further this. There's a blooming issue. I guess we can talk about it, not talk about it. There's gonna be an issue with this spam. Based on the services that they requested, it was to have the existing waste over cleaned up. That's what we talked about in the previous.
Right, yes.
So they were on board to do that. And they budgeted to do 4 roll-off containers of waste. Waste that does not have to go in those containers would be things like brush. The rest of everything else that needs. Sorry, brush doesn't have to go on there. We also offer to provide a container for scrap metal. The 4 containers, go very far. I don't.
430 yards.
Based on, so as I said earlier in the meeting, so we just did the Thermopolis town cleanup this past week. We're still at the tail end of it right now. Granted, it's a larger population, but in the end, they were going to be. Don't quote it, 13, 14, 15 dumpsters is what that town did. Granted, it's a lot more population, but not substantial. So, that being said, the town will clean, what we saw happen in Vermont was the 2 things. The very first couple of days, everybody went crazy. So they got a lot of their garbage and they were emptied, and then they let them go over the weekend, and that was. I wish they wouldn't have done that, because everybody shows up and just pushes it, divided up. So. Here, at least you're in a yard, I would highly recommend locking the gate.
Right.
In the evening time to help.
Yes.
Control.
Or just say this is, we're gonna drop stuff off between the hours of 8 and 4 or something to help.
Correct. Yeah, I agree. You've got to be structured to it.
Well, like I said, the quantity will be like I said, depends on how many, you get 6 or 7 mattresses in a couple of refrigerators type thing, and that's a box.
No, we had an issue a few years ago, and I don't, we still haven't got everything hauled out of there. That was thousands of dollars. We've already paid, and we don't want to we can't afford to do that again.
So dumping on the ground is the worst thing. Because that's when you acquire so much more garbage and weight and dirt because they can dump it out. So they've done what we saw in Vermont with everything from grandma cleaning out her kitchen to someone cleaning out the horse stall. I mean, just just the gray, I mean, it's a town cleanup, but it was,
That's what happened to us a couple of years ago. And that's why we didn't.
more monitoring that can be done, however.
Agreed.
whoever's in charge, whoever's in charge of it will be in the best interest of the town.
I think we gotta do it. And lock it up when we're not and
And, you know, Chris isn't here there, I think it's equally fair to. So it's what, I keep referencing them, what happened in Thermopylae is there wasn't any monitoring, there's a lot of crap that gets rid of, they shouldn't get. It's
Right.
not. This conception of, well, I put it in the dumpster, well, that doesn't mean it was okay, doesn't mean it was legal, doesn't mean it didn't start a fire, they didn't have a fire. There's a lot of things that happen when people say, so, I got it out of my yard. So there is. There's things that should not go in dumpsters, that the town should not shoulder the burden of.
sure.
Of the risk.
We need a list provided. What
So the
should-
county, so the best list would come from Fremont County, they have on.
Okay,
their-
you bet.
On their website that says
Okay.
these are prohibited items at landfills. And a
Yep.
very good record.
Okay, you
It's the
bet,
same thing that would happen over here at the transfer station.
right?
Um, But that was the extent of what I got from Christmas tonight, is there, we'd like to start it on Tuesday. And. Asked if I could get things cleaned up to an extent prior to that, that was just a surprise, so to see, but.
Okay,
We will help the best that we can to maximize the value and maximize the amount of garbage can get gotten rid of,
okay.
so.
I don't think it's necessarily a good idea to have it all open only during the day. There's a lot of people in town that work. So I'm all for monitoring, but maybe if we could do an evening, you know.
Sure, I
Something
mean,
like that.
or Saturday.
I think it needs to.
It don't
be
get dark till 9 o'clock.
Right, but we'd have to have somebody monitoring
Right.
that as well, so maybe if that town employee wouldn't mind. Sliding a shift or something, I wouldn't wanna put that on. You know, I'm not the CEO of the town, that's not my call, but. My suggestion would be to have evenings, have an evening option as well.
I think that. So the question I would ask, if the containers are filled on day 2. Then what?
We allotted so much money, I guess.
So what will happen on that is you'll have a first come, first serve. So let's just suppose it starts on Tuesday. So Tuesday, Wednesday, if they're full Wednesday, what's the rest of town cleanup? You lock the gates, remove the containers. That's. Like I said, you're right, there's only so much money to throw at it and if you're at work all week and you're saying, boy, I'm gonna get there on Saturday and have my turn to clean up my yard. And then you go there and say, what happened?
I got a big yard.
Okay. But you're gonna, like I said, that's, you're gonna have.
Only
that-
part of it's in city limits.
Very small amount. Maybe if we do it. You know, the first day and into that evening or something, I don't know.
Like you can, on the one hand, you let it make just go, because like I said, they'll fill quick and. But like I said, you'll have, what about me? What about me? Well, I didn't know it was gonna fill up so fast.
It's gonna go quick and there's only so much money allotted. But the brush, still, we could carry on with the brush and the metal.
The brush, the brush and metal aren't so much an issue. And like I said, the monitoring will come back to. If the
Just
container
brush,
is
just-
there, well, my toilet's got a brass valve on it, so I pitch it in there. I kid you not, this is the stuff still, well, my TV has a piece of metal on it, as long as there is a box there, they will fill with whatever they want. So. That's just the.
They still have electronics, or you just take electronics separately at the landfill.
They'll do it at the transfer station.
Transfer station, yeah.
Yeah, they don't charge for it, so the public knows, I mean, in general, a lot of these things that are done, it really is, it's not so much this COVID health and safety or whatever, but there are, like lithium batteries is a real deal, they come in kids' power toys, we've had trash fires on a stupid little toy. You know, nobody understands that, but lithium gets wet in regular garbage and it lights up, and who knew, but the guy driving the Packer truck sure learns in a heartbeat, that's what happens, and And paint, oh, I don't, you don't want to dump it on your driveway, and someone else doesn't want to leak it on their driveway, and there's just stuff like that. It's not the garbage man's problem, it's not the town's problem. They went and bought it, they use it, just being responsible with your waste shipments.
Yeah.
So the county has done the same thing. They provided used oil recycling, they provided used antifreeze, batteries, appliances, and they propane tanks.
Yeah.
Mhm. All these things that at the end of the day, they're just trying to avoid bad situations. And no one does it on purpose. No one thinks if I put my propane bottle for my camping trip and it just hits that packer blade and blows up. No one thinks about that except the guy that sees it in there saying, hope I don't die. And well, this compresses, but it's not empty. I mean, it's real stuff. But anyway, off topic. But you got-
Appreciate that insight.
you got 4 bins, I think the last couple of days. Mike, like I said, depending on how trash the town is.
And what day that's gonna be again?
So Chris had asked, so they have Memorial holiday is Monday, and I'm closed anyway on there, and so he wanted to start on Tuesday.
Tuesday the 30th. 30th, third, yeah. Okay. Bob, would you like to add anything?
I have nothing to say today.
Okay. Jeez, that's good, I guess. Anyway, I'll try to be quick, we're late.
I have one other question, sorry.
Please do, go ahead, no.
This might be a question for you, Mike. If a contractor needs to bulk fill. I was asked this today, I suggested using the hydrant up at the rest area, is that the go-to? And I need a question about a meter.
Well, we don't have a meter,
Does a contractor need to provide a meter?
preferably, or we've been doing it by the size of their truck.
And they
And
just
that-
keep track of the frequency?
Yes.
Okay, is that the preferred hydrant to use?
Usually we've used the one up here by where the state. Parks. That hydrant right there. What street is that?
The one by the church or?
It's up past the church on the right, drops down, it was Bebop's old place before the old tackle shop, the street before that.
Oh, yeah.
Fire hydrant right there. But where are they going with it?
So this is for Knife River. They're setting up their asphalt
Right.
plant now on Showbond Road. Since they started their dirt work. They asked about. YDOT is providing them water. In the project, but when they're doing, as they're preparing the road, their access area. They asked to have what they can do for water. I told them I would ask at the council meeting and. I don't know if it's gonna be 5 truckloads, 10 truckloads, just a couple truckloads, but YDOT is supposed to provide them.
For them being that close, they could probably go with the one there by the rest area.
So is it best that? They just need to come talk to someone here or you and say, this is what we're gonna do, and they'll
Yeah.
bean count and say.
Yeah, if they have a form fill out,
Yeah.
you know, so many truckloads and if it's a 80 barrel, 40 barrel, whatever, gallon thing.
They're supposed to be here through September. They will start stockpiling aggregate. Probably another week and start setting up the plant. They're mobilizing it right now. It's coming in. And then they're supposed to be here through September-ish.
Okay.
On that stuff. I don't know where the guys are staying. I think they're staying in Riverton, a few of them, but
Some of them may have campers.
yeah.
He said, I don't know. That's when they were talking about,
But like I said, it's finally started, took a long time to finally start, and then today it's finally started.
I know the Desert Inn was full. I don't know if they still are.
So I think that had to do, so the gas plant
Turnaround,
just
yes.
finished turnaround, or
Yep.
they're at the tail end of that right now.
Yeah.
But otherwise, I'll convey that to them.
Okay.
That's all I had.
There again, I talked with state parks. Hoping this week to get an answer on the trailhead. again, she's very hopeful. They're working through, jumping through hoops with the federal government. They put this money out there and now they're having, they didn't have all the rules straight figured out, so imagine that, Chris. But anyway, but she said, hopefully I would hear this week on that. And then we got till there again till next year to do the project. I think, like the Winter Visitors Council, I think we got till end of June to get it done next year. So we have plenty of time to do that. That was one of my concerns, that where we're gonna be run on short on time, but it doesn't look like it. We're during Shoshoni days and a tractor show. We're gonna have a town wide, if you want, garage sale. If someone wants to hold it in their yard, or whatever, they come to town hall, give us an address. We'll draw up a map that will present to anybody that comes, that you're gonna have a garage sale at your house. We're also gonna reserve the park, the town plaza for that. So if you want to set up in the town plaza or the basketball court or the parking lot there, if you want to set up for, yard sale and whatever, we'll do it during it Saturday and Sunday. We'll set that up at the town plaza and park. There'll be a $15 charge for both days, $10 charge for one day. And then we'll advertise all over. If you're gonna set it up in your yard, your garage, whatever, no charge for that. We'll draw a map if you get enough time, get it to us early enough. And we used to do that. I don't know if you remember, years ago, we used to do that during Shoshoni days. Just
Garage sale around
Yep.
every corner.
Yep, so we're gonna start that up again and see how that develops. Any comments or thoughts? Anything you want to add, Chris?
Still trying to get my thoughts together right now, so.
Okay. Okay. I would like to also announce, I attended Desi Beebelt's funeral, and they announced during the funeral that they're gonna name the Shoshone post office after her.
Did we
That's
talk
nice.
about the town cleanup at all?
Yes, we did. Yes, we did. But I think that's quite
You said any overages you were gonna personally fund.
This is what happens when we leave.
Yeah,
The vote was unanimous.
yes,
I'm sure it was. Appreciate it.
but there's probably more I could talk about, but we're running pretty late, so. Can I have a motion to adjourn?
Make a motion.
And moved by Councilwoman Hartley. She was the first. Second. Councilman Stetler came in a close second. Any further discussion? None being, all in favor, say aye. Aye, close same. Motion passed in the affirmative at 9:44. Something like that. 9:43.